Picture this. You're literally in the dead center of the massive Atlantic Ocean, completely alone. Right before your eyes, your ship is blown to pieces and sinks to the bottom of the sea. There are no other survivors. You have zero food nearby, not a single drop of fresh water to quench your thirst, and a school of hungry sharks is circling right below you. In a situation like this, how long do you honestly think you could survive? A few days, tops? Well, today I'm going to tell you the story of a guy who didn't just survive for a day or two. He stayed alive, floating completely alone in this terrifying ocean for a mind-blowing 133 days. His name was Poon Lim. After his ship went down, his only lifeline was a tiny wooden raft. Within a few days, his extremely limited food supply completely ran out, and that's when his impossible fight for life truly began. Stuck in the middle of nowhere, he had to figure out bizarre ways to catch fish and birds with his bare hands. He had to pray for rainwater just to survive. He even went head-to-head with sharks. But you want to know the most gut-wrenching part? Over this massive stretch of time, huge ships and airplanes passed right by him, but nobody saved him. After having his hopes crushed right in front of his eyes over and over again, how did an ordinary guy come so close to death and still make it back alive? Let's dive into this crazy, 100% true story. The year is 1942. The world is in the middle of World War II, one of the darkest times in human history. The Atlantic Ocean had basically turned into a massive graveyard. Deadly German U-boat submarines were prowling the waters like sharks. Their only goal, spot any enemy commercial or military ship and blow it out of the water. Right around this time, a British merchant ship named the SS Ben Lomond was making its way from Cape Town, Africa, towards South America. There were over 50 sailors and crew members on board. One of them was a 25-year-old Chinese guy named Poon Lim. His job on the ship was second steward, meaning he basically took care of the crew. Nobody knew it yet, but this ordinary guy was about to give the world one of the most incredible survival stories of all time. It was November 23rd, right around noon. Everything was completely calm. The weather was great. The crew probably thought they were just a few days away from reaching their destination safely, but they had no idea that beneath the surface, a German submarine, the U-172, was silently creeping toward them. Suddenly, a deafening explosion. Two devastating torpedoes fired from the sub smashed directly into the engine room. Instantly, the ship burst into flames. The explosion was so massive that the entire ship sank in just 2 minutes. Yeah, literally 2 minutes. It was so fast that nobody even had time to lower the lifeboats. When Poon Lim realized the ship was going under, he only had time to do one thing: grab a life jacket, strap it on, and jump straight into the freezing waters of the Atlantic Ocean. The scene in the water was absolute chaos, debris everywhere, the suffocating smell of oil, and the screams of people desperately trying not to drown. But after a few minutes, everything went dead silent. The eerie silence of the Atlantic took over. Nobody else had made it. Poon Lim looked around and realized he was completely alone in the middle of the ocean. He treaded that freezing water for about 2 hours. His arms and legs were going numb. Just when he thought it was over, he spotted an 8-by-8-foot square wooden life raft. Using whatever strength he had left, he swam over and dragged himself onto it. Once on board, he found a metal tin with some emergency supplies, a few biscuits, about 10 gallons or 40 liters of fresh water, some chocolate, sugar, a few flares for signaling, a flashlight, and a small piece of canvas cloth. Seeing this gave him a huge wave of relief. He figured, with this food and water, I can definitely survive for a few weeks, and by then, a rescue ship will spot me. He had absolutely no idea what kind of nightmare was actually waiting for him. For the first few days, Poon Lim was super careful with his rations. He only ate 2 biscuits a day and took tiny sips of water. He spent all day staring at the horizon and the sky, praying for a ship or a plane. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Nothing. Slowly but surely, his biscuits and water started to run out. Eventually, the tin was completely empty, and that's when his unbelievable fight for survival at sea truly started. Starving and desperately thirsty, his body began to shut down. He knew if he wanted to live, he had to take matters into his own hands. He didn't have a fishing rod or hooks, but the human will to live is a crazy thing. It turns you into an inventor. He smashed his flashlight, pulled out the copper wire inside, and bent it into a small fish hook. He unraveled some rope from the raft to use as a fishing line, and used a tiny piece of the broken metal tin as a shiny lure. The very first time he actually caught a small fish, he felt like he had just won the lottery. But wait, he had a fish, but how was he supposed to cook it? He obviously couldn't start a fire, so he had no choice but to eat the fish completely raw. From then on, he fished every day. He'd eat what he needed and slice up the rest to dry in the sun on the deck of his raft, basically making fish jerky for later. So he figured out food, but what about water? If you drink salt water, your body dehydrates insanely fast and you die. He was 100% reliant on Mother Nature. He rigged up the canvas cloth to catch rainwater. Whenever a storm rolled in, he'd desperately collect every single drop. But out in the ocean, sometimes it wouldn't rain for days. The blistering sun baked his skin, his lips cracked and bled, and his throat felt like sandpaper. The thirst got so unbearable that he had to do something extreme. When there was no water, he would catch a fish, cut it open, and drink its blood. It's a brutal example of just how primal human survival instincts can get. But he couldn't survive on just fish forever. Every now and then, seabirds would land near his raft. Poon Lim came up with a wild strategy to catch them. He would lie on his raft, perfectly still, pretending to be dead, with pieces of dried fish scattered around him. When a bird landed to eat the fish, he didn't flinch. He waited until the bird was right next to him, and in the blink of an eye, he'd snap his hands out and grab the bird by its legs. Catching a wild seabird bare-handed and wrestling it down is not easy, but a starving Poon Lim had superhuman adrenaline. He ate the bird's meat, drank its blood to stay hydrated, and even used its bones to carve newer, sharper fishing hooks. But starvation and thirst weren't the only threats in the Atlantic. Lurking right beneath him was another terrifying danger: sharks. They constantly circled his raft, bumping against the wood from below. Once, a massive shark got way too close, but instead of freezing in fear, Poon Lim made the insane decision to try and survive a shark attack by actually hunting the shark. His bird bone hooks weren't strong enough for a shark, so he pried a large iron nail out of the raft's wood, bent it into a massive hook, baited it with bird meat, and threw it in. Within minutes, a shark swallowed the bait. What happened next was a brutal tug of war. On one side, a 25-year-old starving, weakened man. On the other, an ocean apex predator. The shark thrashed and pulled the rope so hard that it cut deep into Poon Lim's hands, leaving them bloody. But he refused to let go. He knew this shark meant food and hydration for days. After wrestling for nearly half an hour, the shark finally got tired. Pulling with everything he had left, he dragged the shark onto the raft. The shark was thrashing wildly. One bite could have ended it all. But running on pure survival instinct, Poon Lim grabbed a half-cut metal water jug and started bashing the shark on the head until it stopped moving. This just goes to show, when a human has absolutely nothing left to lose, they can become incredibly dangerous. Hey, quick pause, guys. Since you've made it this far into the video, you're obviously hooked on this story. If you're into these kinds of insane, real-life survival documentaries, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss the next one. All right, let's get back to it. Months went by like this. Poon Lim's skin was badly sunburned and blackened. His body was covered in sores, and he was so weak he could barely stand. But his biggest test was yet to come, and it was entirely mental. One day, he spotted a massive freighter ship off in the distance. A huge wave of hope washed over him. He grabbed his very last flare, fired it off, and waved his arms like a madman. The ship actually came super close. The crew on the deck looked right down at him, but unbelievably, the ship didn't stop. It just kept going. Why didn't they save him? Well, during World War II, German submarines would often leave fake lifeboats floating in the water as a trap. The second a rescue ship stopped to help, the U-boat would blast them with a torpedo. Fearing it was a trap, the ship ignored him. Watching his only ticket home just sail away completely broke Poon Lim. He collapsed and just cried. But the heartbreak didn't stop there. Sometime later, a U.S. Navy patrol plane was flying overhead and actually spotted his raft. They dropped a smoke marker into the water so rescue teams could easily find his exact coordinates. Poon Lim thought, finally, this nightmare is over. But fate played another cruel joke on him. Out of nowhere, a massive, violent storm rolled in. Huge waves and hurricane winds blew his raft miles away from the marker. When the storm finally cleared, he looked around and the ocean was empty again. No rescue ships, no planes. Having rescue dangled in front of your face twice, only to have it ripped away, that's enough to completely destroy a person's sanity. Most people would have just given up and jumped into the water to end it. But Poon Lim refused to quit. He told himself that as long as he had breath in his lungs, he was gonna fight. He kept tracking the days by carving notches into the wood of the raft. 100 days passed, then 120 days, 130 days. On his 133rd day, Poon Lim noticed something. The water went from deep dark blue to a lighter greenish color. He saw a lot more birds flying overhead. He even saw driftwood and branches floating in the water. He knew exactly what this meant. He was finally close to land. On April 5th, 1943, just off the coast of Brazil, 3 Brazilian fishermen were out in their boat. Suddenly, they spotted a tiny wooden raft bobbing in the distance. Lying on it was what looked like a human skeleton. The fishermen rushed over. They saw a man with almost zero meat on his bones, just skin pulled tight over his ribs, completely baked by the sun. But the man's eyes were open. He was alive. After 133 days of absolute hell, Poon Lim finally saw another human face. His real-life survival story of 133 days was finally over. The fishermen pulled him onto their boat and rushed him to the port of Belém in Brazil. But here is the craziest part. When they got to the port, they brought out a stretcher to carry him off. Poon Lim refused it. Running on pure adrenaline and willpower, he stood up on his own 2 feet, and without anyone's help, he walked right off the boat and onto the dock. Even the doctors were completely stunned. How does a guy float on a tiny raft for 133 days and still have the strength to walk? At the hospital, they realized he had only lost about 20 pounds, 9 kilograms, over the whole ordeal. Why? Because eating all that raw fish and bird meat actually gave his body an insane amount of pure protein. After 4 weeks of recovery in a Brazilian hospital, he was fully healed. When the news hit the global press, the whole world was in shock. Nobody could believe a human being could survive alone on a raft for 133 days. At the time, it shattered the world record for the longest time surviving at sea. Because of his incredible bravery, the British government awarded him the British Empire Medal. But his legacy went even further. The British Royal Navy and other militaries actually studied what he did and rewrote their official survival training manuals based entirely on Poon Lim's techniques. His horrific experience fundamentally changed modern naval survival tactics. After the war, Poon Lim moved to the United States, eventually settling down in Brooklyn, New York. He lived a full life and passed away in 1991 at the age of 73. Right after he was rescued, reporters asked him how he felt about holding this insane world record for surviving at sea. In a very calm voice, Poon Lim said something that will echo in history forever. He said, "I just wanted to survive. I hope no one ever has to break this record." Poon Lim's 133-day journey is more than just a survival story. It's the ultimate proof of how unbelievably powerful human willpower and the desire to live can be. When literally everything in the universe is stacked against you and it feels like there is zero hope left, that stubborn refusal to give up is what keeps you alive. Poon Lim proved that if a human being truly wants to survive, they can conquer even the most brutal and unforgiving forces of nature. So guys, what did you think of this absolutely insane true story of surviving 133 days in the Atlantic? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you liked the video, go ahead and smash that like button, and if you hated it, you can dislike it too. We've got tons of other crazy survival stories, unsolved mysteries, and fascinating real-life documentaries right here on the channel. So if you're into unique, high-quality cinematic true stories like this, make sure you subscribe right now. I'll see you guys next time with another unbelievable real-life story or cinematic documentary. Until then, take care and stay safe.